How's it going, everyone? It's GadgetsBoy, and this is my review of the orange vegan leather Oppo Find X2 Pro. The Oppo Find X2 Pro is the latest flagship device from Oppo, and given the current situation with Huawei with Google mobile services, I'd like to think this is Oppo's opportunity, Oppo's chance to swoop in and take that spot from Huawei. But that's not to take away from Oppo though, in terms of design, battery life, photography, in terms of camera capabilities. It's actually a really good device in its own right. But let's get into it and see what it's all about in terms of design, performance, battery life, even the user interface, a bit of in-depth overview of what I've experienced with the Oppo Find X2 Pro. Let's get on with it. This one here is stunning, it's fashionable, and although you get a silicone case in the box, I really didn't have to use it at all. It's finished in orange vegan leather, as mentioned before. And if you don't like this one, there's also a ceramic black edition too that you can get, which is a fingerprint magnet, by the way. And I also really prefer this one. It looks really nice. It feels nice to hold, and Instagram worthy as well for those who likes to show off their phone on the gram. I even like the Oppo badge on the back. Basically, I believe Oppo has created this for those who cares about fashion and their technology all in one. If you don't care about that kind of stuff, definitely check out the ceramic black version. Turning it over, as you can see there, you get a curved display that creates an illusion that you have no bezels there at all. Essentially, the left and right sides where the glass curves hides the black border, so the top and bottom is more visible. I do like that O punch camera at the top there as well. It looks very subtle, although I still would have preferred that the one with the Oppo Find X original design with the pop-up sliding camera that made it stand out, and I really liked watching it pop up and down as well. The display is designed for all types of media consumption, so whether you're gaming, reading, watching videos online, it's buttery smooth at 120 Hz refresh rate. It has a 20:9 aspect ratio. You get 240 Hz touch sampling rate. HDR10 Plus support is there as well, and it's very bright at 1200 nits of brightness, and you've got that 513 ppi. All of this in the 6.7 inch QHD Plus display. Overall, the Find X2 Pro's display is one of the brightest and vibrant I've seen thus far. There's also something that Oppo calls the O1 Ultra Vision engine with a built-in independent display chip. It's there to intelligently enhance image quality, performance. So in reality, what it does is apply HDR video enhancements from SDR to HDR to widen its color gamut and show more details, and video motion enhancements boost to 60 frames per second. Although I wouldn't recommend using that at all, because if someone's shot a video in 30 frames or whatever frame rate they've shot it in, they've done that for a reason. Also, some apps don't support it, and it was very hard for me to even notice it with the one that did. You can turn this feature off or on if you prefer, it's up to you. And you can also dial down that refresh rate to 60 Hz manually, or let this device select it automatically for you. What I like here also is that you can choose 120 Hz at its full QHD Plus display settings, unlike this S20 Ultra, which doesn't support that. If you do decide though to use 120 Hz at QHD Plus, you do have to bear in mind that that is gonna burn your battery life. In the display settings as well, you can also have different modes like cinematic screen color mode and others. But what I tend to do when I'm editing photos is use vivid mode, as it's P3 for better color. Auto brightness settings also works really well, although sometimes at night it does struggle, so I have to manually adjust it myself. Overall, I love the Oppo Find X2 Pro's design. It's sophisticated, elegant, and I prefer the leather look. It has no 3.5mm headphone jack, and that's old news anyway now. You can just use a Bluetooth headset if you really need that. The display is also amazing. Oppo has it all covered when it comes to its display, so you have all the freedom in that department. Apart from the camera bump and the lack of 3D face unlocking, I can't really fault the design at all. Saying that, the in-screen fingerprint sensor and face unlock is still super quick and works all the time, even with my darker skin. Before I move on to Oppo Find X2 Pro's performance, let's take a look at the user interface as well. ColorOS 7.1 is one of the cleanest Android overlays I've used, and actually most smartphones are getting better with overlays now, and I'm all for it, I'm here for it. If anything, I'd rank OnePlus and Nokia phones up there for UI, then Oppo, then Samsung, then the rest of them. Anyway, the UI experience is good, but still has some issues that often irks me. Example would be the notification tray, and how you can only swipe one way to dismiss them. Tapping on a group notification doesn't take you to the app to see all your notifications and just get on with it. Some default apps doesn't just set when you select it. For example, Instagram is a corporate hit. So if I opened a link from the web that's to do with Instagram, it will still ask me if I want to set it as default, even though I've already told it to set it as default. Besides that, it's smooth, clean, and this unlocked version has no bloatware. One last thing though is that I didn't like is when I use Spotify, it keeps waking up the display, which in turn burns my battery. If you know how to change that or solve that issue, please let me know. Onto performance, I'll leave the camera bit still the last. The Oppo Find X2 Pro is equipped with Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 865 processor, 12 gig of LPDDR5 RAM, you got 512 gig of UFS 3.0 storage. All the goodness I expect from a flagship device is here. But does it really entitle Oppo to pricing this at just over £1,000 price tag? Not sure yet. With the A65 processor comes the latest X55 modem too, so you'll be able to use 5G and Wi-Fi 6. Overall, the Find X2 Pro did not freeze once or reboot itself since I've had it. It's smooth, effortless in handling multiple graphic and processor intensive applications. I really can't fault it when it comes to performance. I even connected it to my projector and it handled Call of Duty Mobile like a boss, which is really good. The Oppo Find X2 Pro also excels in the battery department. It has a 4,260 mAh battery built in, and it's not the biggest out there, but providing you keep your settings down to less than 120 Hz and you don't use QHD+, the battery life is really good. Actually, with 120 Hz on and not QHD+, the battery still lasts the whole day and then some more. You don't get wireless charging here, but you do get that insane 65 watt fast charging in there out of the box, which means you can get back to 100% in just 30 minutes. It's absolutely insane. Under the camera, my favorite bit, what do we have here? We have a triple camera setup with 48 megapixel f1.7 aperture as the main sensor. The same sensor is a 12-bit IMX6 Ignite sensor from Sony. It's 1.4 inch of size and 1.12 micropixels. It combines four 12 megapixels to make a larger super pixel when using 48 megapixel mode. Focusing is super quick with pixel omnidirection PDA. You've got a 13 megapixel periscope camera that offers 10 times hybrid zoom and 60 times digital zoom. If you're like me and you like your landscape photography or architecture, there's also a 48 megapixel ultra wide angle camera at f2.32 aperture. And this is powered by Sony IMX 586 sensor. Besides the hardware, you also get few shooting modes available to play with, and the UI is very easy to navigate and find different settings as well. In real terms, the Find X2 Pro captures a lot of details. It's very quick at focusing when taking pictures, and hunting is not as bad as the S20 Ultra when shooting videos. Night mode is up there with the best, but still not a pixel night sight good. Not as good as that one, or as natural as the S20 Ultra, which I quite like actually. HDR mode is also available to pick up the backlit images, but I tend to put that on manually and not on auto. The depth of field is very good as well, one of the best ones out there. Portrait mode does a great job, and I'm glad you can turn off that beauty mode, which annoys me. You can take portrait photos at 1x and 2x zoom as well, very handy. And macro mode comes on automatically when needed, and it's also pretty decent. Where it shines in video mode is that stability. I really like it. You have ultra steady mode and pro ultra steady mode, although steady mode does more than enough that you need to do. I don't even really understand that pro ultra steady mode. Let's not forget to mention 4K at 60 frames per second as well. Generally, photos look amazing and very detailed. Good dynamic range too. Selfie camera is okay, providing you have good lighting and you can shoot 1080p videos on the front camera as well. If I have any issues with the camera, it's that it can sometimes lack in contrast and the dark areas. It can sometimes be too punchy in terms of saturation, too high in saturation. And anything over 10 times zoom is pretty much pointless. Then again, which phone has more than 10 times zoom right now that actually gives you something decent? Maybe the P40 Pro, the Huawei series with the moon mode. So if you ask me, use this phone for anyone who wants to dare to be different. So if you want something that's got IP68 water industrial system, great camera setup, excellent battery life, 65 watts fast charging at the box, which is insane. A design that's borderline perfect. You get no headphone jack, but I'm over it. But pricing is what lets it down. When deciding between the S20 Ultra and the Find X2 Pro, pricing can be something that you'd have to think about. Although with the S20 Ultra's battery situation and the camera woes, the Exynos version, I would still then recommend the Find X2 Pro instead. If you want to save money and get something that's also all round in terms of how good it is, then also consider the OnePlus counterparts like the latest one that's out right now. So that's it for the Oppo Find X2 Pro, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If this is your first time around here, where have you been? Only joking. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification as well, so you'll be one of the first people to know whenever there's a video on the channel. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.